Well, hello, Ultra Racing fans, and welcome to Ultra Racing Network's coverage of the 2015 Silver State 508, coming to you from Reno, Nevada. I'm Jarek Wilhelmsen. And race fans, we have got an exciting race for you this year. We've got a really strong field, an international field, a new division, the unsupported Randonneur division, and some really interesting bikes. The tandem recumbent trike, that's both a hand cycle and a foot cycle. You know, I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right, so let's just cut to the video and check it out. For the second year now, ultra cyclists and their crews have assembled in Reno, Nevada at the Atlantis Hotel and Casino, which hosts the starting and finish line for the 2015 Silver State 508. The 508 route runs across northern Nevada along Highway 50, the loneliest highway in America. This out-and-back course has brought in an international field of return cyclists in several divisions, including the standard solo, two-person, four-person, tandems, all in either male, female, or mixed. This year, the newest category is the unsupported Randonneur division. 12 cyclists will be taking on that challenge, 3 of which are fixed gear.
So new this year, we have the solo Randonneur division, which are riders who are taking on the whole course, 508 miles, solo, and no support crew. So they're each bringing a drop bag, which will deliver to each of the 7 checkpoints along the route. And then otherwise they're on their own. And they have to navigate, take care of themselves, be prepared for any kind of conditions, the weather, mechanical problems, food, drink. And so that's something new. We have about a dozen riders doing that this year.
As the racers went through their registration and inspection process, one team that stood out amongst the others, Team Chase-adon. It's a 2-bike tandem recumbent trike, half hand cycle, supported by 3 solo racers who help push.
We call them the sleds, I call them the trikes, but yeah, we have a hand cyclist in the back and then an able-bodied cyclist in the front.
And that's for both of your bikes?
Both of them, yeah. This is a 2-man team that is competing as a relay, assisted by 4 soloists that'll either be on the recumbent seat position or on the push bars.
This unique team was created to support a couple of athletes from the Challenged Athletes Foundation who are getting the opportunity of a lifetime. One thing that is unique about the 508 is the use of totems. As opposed to numbers, riders receive spirit animals which stick with them forever. Some teams can be a mix of several totems. The night before the race, Chris Kosman, Adventure Corps' Chief Adventure Officer, runs the pre-race meeting. Here, besides race notes, cyclists are inducted into the 508 Hall of Fame, and then the group photo with all the 508 racers. Speaking of racers, 2015 has sized up to be a competitive year. In the new Randonneur division, Dave Hossey, the Holstein, is ranked the top American after finishing second in the Race Across America. Dave Hare, the Necked Falcon, will be riding the 508 unsupported with a fixed gear bike. In the solo division, we have ultra veteran Mick Walsh, the Irish Hare from Seattle, Washington. Also Rob Morlock, the Muskrat from Danbury, Connecticut, who is another ultra veteran. For the females, Shauna Hogan is here to compete. Although earlier in the year she placed first at the 400-mile Ram Challenge in Oceanside, her Race Across America attempt fell short at the Mississippi River. For the teams, in the 2-person division, we have the Chimera Twins. The team of Colin Stokes and Didier Reiser have proven to be a competitive duo. And for the females, the Snowflies, Dustyn and Patty Jo Struve, longtime ultra cyclists, are here to compete. In the 4-person division, we have the Nervous Ticks, who are looking strong, along with the Racing Roosters, who may be in an older division, but plan on giving the Ticks plenty of competition. The route starts in Reno. After a short jaunt towards the outskirts of town, the first obstacle will be the Geiger Grade. Here, riders will climb over 2,500 feet in just 8 miles. After summiting, racers will descend into the historic mining town of Virginia City, before entering 6 Mile Canyon, which will connect them with the road to Time Station 1 in Silver Spring. For the next stage to Fallen, racers get a break as they gradually go downhill into the ancient lake basin of Lake Lahotan. But then comes the longest stage. From Fallen to Austin, it's 106 miles with over 5,000 feet of climbing. Along this leg, a bonus aid station was set up at the 42-mile mark to provide water and a resting spot for the Randonneur division. The last stage headed out, or eastbound, is between Austin and Eureka. This stage is a little over 70 miles with over 2,800 feet of climbing, mostly at the beginning. Eureka, time station 4 at 255 miles out, is the turnaround. On their way back, riders will have to deal with the same climbs and distances they just overcame, except for the most part, now it's night. Those who are quick enough will make it back to the last stage, where this time they climb up 6 Mile Canyon, which connects them with Geiger Grade, before the sun gets too high in the sky. But once they reach that Geiger summit, it's all downhill as they can spot the finish line in Reno, the official distance being 510.4 miles. Make sure to check out social media. Check out the508.com, where you'll get all the up-to-date time splits and much more. And tune in to ultraracingnetwork.com to get video reports on the ultra racing world. And make sure to like us on the Facebook. So there you go, folks. It's going to be an exciting race. Now make sure to keep checking back with Ultra Racing Network so you can see all the coverage. But until then, I'm Jarek Wilhelmsen, and we'll see you out there. Ultra racers leave the starting line in Reno and battle their first major climbs in this episode of the Ultra Race Report. It was just after 4 a.m. in the parking lot of the Atlantis Hotel as the unsupported Randonneur racers checked in and picked up their tracking devices.
I've seen you. How you doing?
12 racers lined up at the starting line as the first unsupported division in the Silver State 508. Race director Chris Kosman played the national anthem and gave a few words of advice. Once 4:30 hit, the signal was given and the 2015 Silver State 508 was officially underway. A little over an hour later, racers from the solo division began to line up. Joining them will be Team Chase-adon, supporting challenged athletes. Once again, the national anthem was played, and as 6:30 arrived, the solo division was en route and riding. The first stretch of the route, cyclists have to navigate through the suburbs of Reno until they finally hit Geiger Grade. Here, the field stretches out as cyclists will have to climb over 2,500 feet in just over 8 miles. Back in Reno, the teams are gathering for their start. They go through the same procedures as the previous two waves, except this time, the national anthem is performed live by racer Patty Jo Struve. Before she mounted her bike and hit the road as the teams departed. Once racers hit Geiger Summit, it's downhill into the historic town of Virginia City. Here, racers do a loop through the historic district before heading down 6 Mile Canyon. The riders then turn onto Highway 50 as it takes them into the first time station in Silver Springs. Time Station 1 in Silver Springs is at the 47-mile mark and the first time that teams change over riders. Riders wait for their teammates to arrive as they prepare to take on the next stretch into Fallen. As racers arrive, they will shout out their totem to the time station officials, pass off their tracker, and hit the road. Dustyn from the Snowflies explained how her team chose which leg each rider would take.
PJ knows all that. She picked, and it's perfect because she's stronger on the climb and I can go really hard on the flats. Way to go, PJ!
Snowflies.
Here, I'm going to put it in so it's right.
The stage from Silver Springs to Fallen is a quick one, just 31 miles. Racers also pass through the highest traffic density portion of the race. Coming into Time Station 2, 4-person team Radioactive Cockroaches were on the move as they were passing teams. The time station in Fallen is at the 79-mile mark. Team Chase-adon was on schedule. The challenged athlete who just completed the stage was in great spirits as his crew monitored his fluids.
Best day ever today.
How was that?
Awesome.
As the Radioactive Cockroaches reached the time station, they explained their strategy going through the city.
It's like time gained in traffic. So I gotta let him go and then catch him. Right?
As teams were taking off, others were just arriving.
Right now, the teams are coming in closely grouped, fast and furious. You know what I mean? It's going great, though.
Team Chase-adon finished their changeover and were off, as teams and solos continue to come in and out of the time station in Fallon. Tune into the next episode as racers continue to climb as they race along the loneliest highway in America in the 2015 Silver State 508. Cyclists battle the heat and face serious climbs in this episode of the Ultra Race Report. Outside of Time Station 2 in Fallon, racers start a 106-mile stage to the town of Austin. Team Chase-adon was in the groove as they cruised east on Highway 50. Along this stretch, Danny Bonneville of the Stubborn Bulls was in the zone as he passed other riders.
Amazing, man! Amazing course!
We caught James Ingalls, the Belgium draft horse, as he reapplied sunscreen and replenished some calories. After a few moments on the side of the road, the allure of the race grabbed his attention and he was back on the bike. Being the longest segment in the race, there is a bonus aid station set up at the 42-mile mark, next to the old Middlegate station.
So they put a break here for them to check in and have a bag pickup if they need it, so they could get food and water and sit down for a few minutes.
We caught a couple randonneurs, David Neff, the Grasshopper, and Paul Grimm, the Wily Coyote, who were recharging their supplies and taking a moment off the bikes. As the sun continued to beat down, more racers continued to arrive. The Wily Coyote looked dressed for battle as he completed his resupply, got on his bike, and hit the road. Once on the bike, he took down a few more calories as he prepared to climb 1,500 feet to Carroll Summit. Halfway up the climb, a couple of crews found a good turnout to wait for their riders.
How's her doing?
Oh, she's doing great. Shauna Hogan, you know who she is, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
She's doing fabulous.
At this point, Shauna Hogan was moving steady and on track.
I'm right in where I want to be, so that's good.
Approaching the summit, the tandem team of George Vargas and Lori Hoagland, the Huttons Vario, were charging hard through a surreal scene of a recent fire. They had less than a mile to go to the summit as their crew was on task supporting their racers. Before long, they conquered the second hardest climb of this course, Carroll Summit, at 7,214 feet and just 141 miles into the race.
Getting her done.
Towards the front of the race field, 508 official Cindy Steiger was hooking up a couple of randonneurs with some water.
Thank you.
At this point of the race, the randonneurs are at the front of the race field as they approach Time Station 3 in Austin. Currently holding second in that division is David Hare, the Necked Falcon, who took it to another level by riding a fixed-gear bike. On a fixie, going downhill can demand 100% focus. Dave Hossey is currently leading the field in the Randonneur division and the first racer through Time Station 3 in Austin. At the hottest part of the day, Dave, the Holstein, was working his way up Austin Summit. The time station in Austin is 185 miles into the race. This quiet mining town was becoming alive with activity as randonneurs, solos, and their crews began to arrive. Mick Walsh, the Irish Hare, was taking some time off his bike. But wanting to maintain his position, he was up and on the road in just a few moments. The first sign of teams was the crew of the Chimera Twins. Didier Reiser was anxious to have some time on the bike.
But my teammate has been a long time on the bike. It's my turn now.
By the time Shauna Hogan passed, the time station was a buzz of activity. With the arrival of the second Chimera twin, Colin Stokes, Didier got his opportunity and was back on the bike and on his way to the turnaround in Eureka. At Time Station 3 in Austin, Dave Hossey is leading the Randonneur division with a time of 10 hours and 34 minutes. The Red-Necked Falcon, David Ferry, riding a fixie, is close behind at 11 hours and 37 minutes. For the solo males, Rob Morlock, the Muskrat, came in at 9 hours and 53 minutes. With Mick Walsh, the Irish Hare, close on his tail, just a minute behind at 9 hours and 54 minutes. For the female solos, Shauna Hogan, Hoopoe, is staying strong with 10 hours and 41 minutes, and she is followed by Neride Locke, the Tas NEDian Devil, with a time of 12 hours and 13 minutes. Check out the next episode where cyclists race through the night as temperatures drop in the 2015 Silver State 508. Ultra racers climb into the evening as temperatures fall and the competition heats up in this episode of the Ultra Race Report. As the cyclists leave Time Station 3 in Austin, the sun and temperatures begin to fall. The front of the field is racing its way to Eureka, the location of Time Station 4 and the turnaround. The four-person team, Racing Roosters, were doing well as they were catching the lead solos. As the temperatures continued to drop and evening set in, the tandem team of George and Lori, Hutton's Vario, got off the bike in order to don their evening gear. The side of the road served as their changing room as they bundled up and resupplied, then hit the road. Lead female, Shauna Hogan, was maintaining her strong, steady pace as she enjoyed the sunset in her rearview mirror. The Red-Necked Falcon was maintaining his position in the Randonor division, although with the added element of riding a fixie.
I'm just doing my own thing right now. I'm on a fixie, unsupported, so my initial goal is just to finish, really. So
Didier Reiser of the Chimera Twins was holding the lead as the first-place team, although still behind the lead solos and Randonor still ahead. As the race to the turnaround continued, Rob Morlock, the Muskrat, put it best.
Just mentally, I want to get to the turnaround.
Yeah, everything will change once you're headed home.
Exactly. So, I kind of like the out and back format. Shoot up and turn around and just tick off the miles going home.
Just a few miles ahead and coming the other way, having already passed the turnaround, was the lead racer, Dave Hossey. Dave, in the unsupported Randonor division, was the first to hit the turnaround and is leading the race field. Time Station 4 in Eureka is at the 255-mile mark and is the halfway point in the race and the official turnaround. Time Station volunteers were set up and awaiting the racers to start coming in. Rob Morlock was the first solo to arrive. He took this opportunity to have some maintenance on his bike while he put on his cold weather gear and hit the road. The lead team, the two-person Chimera Twins, arrived at the time station. Colin Stokes was all set for his teammate so he could head back to Reno. Another two-person team to arrive were the Freebirds. After a long break, Brian Johnson was getting back into gear as his teammate approached, both teams in position for when their rider arrived. The first two-person racer to reach the turnaround was Didier from the Chimera Twins. Colin was on the bike and ready to go as they did a quick handoff and hit the road. Arriving just moments behind was the rider from the Freebirds, although his team was not yet ready to hit the road. Next, a couple of solos, Mick Walsh, the Irish Hare, and Ray Brown, the Spotted Dog, arrived at the time station and began their changeover. As the second and third place solos were changing, Shauna Hogan came in and made an instant decision, which put her into second overall in the solo field.
I changed my mind.
What do you need?
Can we get in the car and go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll.
The Spotted Dog was the next one out the gate, with the Irish Hare close behind. The next teams in were the four-person. The Racing Roosters came in all business as they had a quick turnaround. The crew for the Nervous Tick arrived, who despite their names had a cool and calm demeanor and a surprisingly quick turnaround. Heading back to Reno, there was a different energy amongst the riders. After making the decision for a quick turnaround, Shauna had to eventually stop and put her cold weather gear on.
Yeah, well, I had to stop and put clothes on, so I got passed by Spotted Dog. So I'm back to third.
Chasing the lights ahead of him, the racing Roosters were having a blast. The nervous Ticks were pushing the pace as they pulled ahead of the Roosters.
Yeah, we do. Hey.
Ray Brown, the Spotted Dog, was also moving ahead, as he now was in second place for the solos. Team Chase-adon was working their way through the night and kept up good spirits.
That's how we do it.
The race was now for the next time station in Austin. Chimera Twins continued to move forward in the field and could see the lead up ahead. Dave was still out in front of the race field. Last year, he had to drop because of the cold. This year, he's prepared. The time station in Austin was quiet, as Dave was the first to arrive. Being a randonneur, he had to take time off the bike to prepare his own mixture. With one fan looking on, Dave took off into the night.
Thank you.
As teams arrive at Time Station 4 in Austin, the Chimera Twins are holding first in the two-person division with a time of 16 hours and 43 minutes. The Freebirds have fallen a bit behind with a time of 17 hours and 45 minutes. In the four-person division, the Nervous Ticks are close behind, but first in their division with a time of 17 hours and 46 minutes. And the Racing Roosters are second in the four-person division with a time of 17 hours and 55 minutes. Tune in for the next episode as the day breaks and racers face their last climb before they cross the finish line in the 2015 Silver State 508. Ultra cyclists faced one final climb as they approached the finish line in this Ultra Race Report. As morning was breaking, Rob Morlock was still moving forward after a long, cold night.
Jack. Doing, Rob? Ah, no tires.
I bet.
The Freebirds were cruising downhill and picking up some good speed as they were more than halfway to Time Station 6 and Fallon. Once we got a chance to talk to rider Jose Loreno, the one thing that was on his mind was getting a coffee.
7:10, 7 something like that.
Hey, stop for coffee.
The Nervous Ticks were just a bit ahead and still charging forward as they were happy the cold and night was finally over.
No gloves now.
Didier from the Chimera Twins was taking this leg as he rode into the town of Fallon. Just up ahead, Dave Hossey was still maintaining his position at the front of the race field. Now the sun was up, coffee was also on his mind.
Gotta find me some coffee.
Although he was maintaining a good pace, his time off the bike was really adding up. The Time Station 6 in Fallon is at the 438-mile mark in the race. Colin Stokes was ready to ride as Dave came into the station. While Dave was in the station getting a coffee, the Chimera Twins took advantage of this opportunity and pulled into the front of the race field.
You got a car coming up on you about 200 yards back. Good luck.
Dave, in total race mode, downed his coffee, made his mixture, and hit the road. As the Freebirds arrived at this time station, this changeover was much quicker than the one in Eureka.
See ya.
Slowly gaining on Dave at the front, the first solo, Rob Morlock, the Muskrat, came in and changed over. Just an hour behind Hossey, he was back on the road. The Racing Roosters were still in the hunt as they came into the time station. The stage from Fallon to Silver Springs is relatively short, just 25 miles. The Freebirds took this opportunity to give it all they got. At the time station in Silver Springs, Brian came racing in, as Jose was still recovering from the 112-mile stage he had just completed. Just ahead, Dave ran into some trouble on the road.
They got 2 flats leaving Fallon.
Luckily, he had enough tubes, but that was just more time off the bike. The Nervous Ticks were now on their last leg and holding first in the four-person division as they cruised down Highway 50 to the 6 Mile Canyon turnoff. Once racers enter 6 Mile Canyon, they will climb nearly 2,500 feet over the next 10 miles as they approach Geiger Summit. The Chimera Twins, leading the race field, were the first to enter. As Didier entered the town of Virginia City, his team was standing by to cheer him on. The last stretch of the climb to Geiger Summit is a killer after nearly 500 miles of riding. But once riders arrive, they have a quick and windy downhill into Reno, where for the first time, they can spot the finish line. And Didier didn't take long to get there, arriving in the parking lot of the Atlantis Resort with a time of just 28 hours, 3 minutes, and 21 seconds. For the first time ever, the Chimera Twins are the first to cross the finish line and first place in the two-person division for the 2015 Silver State 508.
It's the most awesome experience I've had so far racing. How about you, Didier?
It's crazy.
We didn't expect this to happen,
No,
so
no.
this is bonus.
It was 10 minutes on our base. That was the goal.
Soon after, it was the nervous tick to cross the finish line. The first four-person team had a time of 28 hours, 31 minutes, and 16 seconds. This being the fifth finish for 3 of the riders and the first for one of them.
Yeah, we started Team 5 years ago, and it's kind of come and gone. And Pete was nice enough to fill in for us this year. We had a last-minute substitution, so.
Making his way through Reno, Dave Hossey was navigating the last few miles to the finish. After over 30 hours on the bike, the directions were getting challenging.
As long as I get the directions right.
But he pulled through to be first in the Randonor division. Dave Hossey came in with a time of 32 hours, 43 minutes, and 36 seconds.
It was a hard race. It's a tough course, especially when you're out there riding like that without a crew. There's some long stretches where you don't see anyone and it gets a little lonely.
As the sun was getting higher in the sky, Rob Morlock, the Muskrat, was making his final approach. He was next to cross the finish line and first place solo in this year's race with a time of 31 hours, 27 minutes, and 30 seconds.
That last 100 miles, especially coming up through 6 Mile Canyon, holy smokes, brutal.
And Shauna Hogan crossed the finish line to be the first place female solo. She had a time of 33 hours, 41 minutes, and 40 seconds, and was the only solo female to finish this year's race.
The cold. I mean, the cold is the hardest part. I mean, it started climbing up the Austin Summit, right? On that climb, my legs were like frozen slabs of meat. And it's just so slow and tedious, and it hurts, you know, and it's just so unlike you know what I mean?
As the day progressed, several other racers and teams crossed the finish line in Reno.
Thank you.
But it wasn't until the next morning that Team Chase-adon came over the finish line to finish what was described as the best day ever. Thank you, folks, for joining us on another spectacular running of the Silver State 508. It was an honor to bring you coverage. And until next time, this is Jarek Wilhelmsen, signing off.